Hey, hello and welcome to Squares TV Application Lab number 27. That was my little experimental attempt to live compose some intro music from a three-dimensional forest that I've made. It still needs some edges sorted out, but yeah, I don't think I've even mentioned this. Yeah, I'll talk about that a bit later, but I've figured out a way to incorporate BeatSheet Studio into music composition. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of that. So what do we talk about? Squares TV App Lab, we talk about Shoot always. We talk about BeatSheet and we talk about Video Pencil. I am broadcasting this camera on YouTube and I will keep, there's a Zoom window as well. So if you hear me talking to a disembodied voice, there's also in after hours via officehours.global, there's a room there with a few people on Zoom. And hi to everyone who is on Zoom. Thanks for joining. If there is anything you want to cover that I missed, then just like stick a hand up, put a note, put a comment. I'm sure you'll jump in if you've got something you want to talk about. So I am running everything through BeatSheet Studio Beta. I'm on a mobile rig. Let's hope it all runs smoothly. Although we can't, a failure plus an excuse is not the same as success. I think I heard someone say that, so we shouldn't be saying that. Right, starting off, design updates. Some conversations I was having made me realize that I had a few assumptions with BeatSheet Studio. Well, I'd sort of evolved a basic setup for my own use, but I hadn't sort of like bundled that into the UX of BeatSheet Studio. And I realized that there was a way I could do that and sort of provide that as a sort of as an entry point. Hasmuk, I see you have your hand raised. Can I bring you in? Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, how's that? Okay, I've got you on the audio,
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, quick one. Saw John Edelson talking about BeatSheet, and he was showing off a zoom with his grid view, and he says he's showing it through BeatSheet Studio, I assume. And in the right-hand corner, he had himself as in a studio. So I assume with your previous presentation, BeatSheet had things to do with music, and it seems like it has moved on. So if you can just give me a quick summary of what you're working on with BeatSheet.
What is BeatSheet Studio? BeatSheet, I mean, it's nothing to do with music originally, although it's sort of vaguely evolved out of like some thinking over the last 20 years of sort of like putting stuff on rails a little bit, but still allowing the performer to express what they want to express. But what BeatSheet is essentially like cue cards for your live streams or Zoom calls or whatever. So it just sort of gives you a sequence of cards you can step through. I'm looking at teleprompter. It's actually built into Shoot. I'm even seeing my program preview up in Shoot on my phone. And then I can step through that. And then as I sort of developed that, and I had Video Pencil camera on to connect them to the iPad to the Mac, and I just realized there was so much stuff that was finding its way awkwardly in Video Pencil camera. I realized that actually a lot of that stuff just belonged in a new project called BeatSheet Studio. So BeatSheet is sort of like remote controls your other software like Ecamm Live or OBS or Mimo Live, whereas BeatSheet Studio it still works with those things, but it's more of a sort of self-contained starting point. So you can have your cue cards, but attached to those can be, I want to share this screen, I want to share this graphic, I want this title. So like BeatSheet would send the titles over NDI, but this just like does that all for you, which Video Pencil camera was doing. So yeah, it's basically, and then it automatically connects to Shoot, lets you remote control the camera. It automatically connects to Video Pencil and sort of like lets you draw on things. So and then I'll be sort of selling that under, you pay for your BeatSheet Studio and then you get Shoot, you get Video Pencil for free, and they just work really well with it. So this is sort of the roadmap of where we're going. So we're pretty deep we're 27 builds deep into the beta now. I think there's probably another 27 to go. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the basic idea of it.
Just a quick one. So John Edison brought that into a Zoom meeting. So I assume like Video Pencil, you integrate it into Zoom as well?
Well, it provides a virtual camera, right? So yeah, so where Video Pencil camera was this separate virtual camera that's sort of connected, this is a virtual camera. So that's the difference, basically. It's got the virtual camera, and it's also got a virtual mic with some very powerful, sort of like it's got LUFS metering and just things like that to just sort of help you be a bit more confident on the things. But yeah, there's a website. I'm happy to add you to the beta if you want to play with it, sort of try it out. Oh, okay, right.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
No problem. I will dial you out again. And hopefully that I can click on this and it works. Okay, I changed the UI for bringing in the Zoom call last week. Right, so design updates on BeatSheets. Yeah, so basically I had this, I wanted to do, so I basically had some buttons on my Stream Deck, just a Stream Deck Mini. And I just thought, okay, what do we want here? We want a desktop share, and that was John Hiddleston again, actually, like saying, oh, how do I get this? How do I do this? And I was like, oh, like I just take for granted that you have a desktop share set up on a button, but I don't really like provide an obvious way to do that. So I've sort of got just a desktop share button. So this is you, like you'd be like here, right? That's your program preview. So you've got your aside 3D thing, which does this business. So just a button there to sort of surface that up to the top is really useful just to be able to quickly get out of the way of the content. Is my picture-in-picture stuff being weird? Maybe. And then I wanted, yeah, the desktop share. And then basically like what started out as, when I was thinking here, it was like, oh, I want to do the picture-in-picture, but actually that's turned into a camera button that when you're in picture-in-picture, it's sort of, when you click on it, it does a picture-in-picture thing. When it's a camera, it does a camera thing, but it just lets you select your main camera. And then the close button, I wanted it to, like, sometimes you just wanted to get rid of the slide, but maybe not the thing you were sharing. And I thought, oh, that's, we could end up sort of adding loads of extra keyboard shortcuts for that. But what if you just press clear, it clears the slide, but leaves the thing you're sharing, then you press it again, and then it clears the thing you're sharing. So just a sort of smart kind of sequence of clearing. So you just get a button there, and that sort of is reflected throughout the app. It's just something to kind of like hide what you're doing. And then I think, yeah, and just sort of making these buttons reflect the state well, right? It's just I think that makes it a lot more usable. So yeah. So I think I can share my desktop to show this. So if I clear the slide, share the desktop, go into demo mode, and hopefully that's not, is that, are you seeing what I think you should be seeing? No, I don't think you are. Okay, let's stay off demo mode and pretend that this isn't kind of crazy. But yeah, so along the side, oh no, I'll tell you why. No, so let's do it like this and drag beat sheet. What's going to happen? This is just going to be infinite regress anyway. But no, I don't like that. I'm trying a new thing. I will talk about it later, but I should be able to zoom in on what is it showing there? I need to show this one. Okay, so let's just make sure you can see. So yeah, we're going to get a bit of infinite. There's only this only appears once, but basically we've got a drop down where you can select your main camera. We've got, you can pick what your main desktop is or just grab a window from here. You've got your aside button and you've got your like clear desktop, and then that will, that'll do that sequence. So that's sort of in progress implementation, but just to sort of let me just show you what that actually looks like for me, so you don't sort of get a headache looking at it. I've taken a screenshot. I'm going to drag it into a new card, and then I'm going to jump into that card. I'm going to make it full screen. I'm going to jump into that card, and then you're going to see. So this is what I see, right? I see, yeah, my camera button, my desktop aside, and then if this can't clear anything, it's just disabled. So that's a little design update, and I think that's going to make it sort of a bit clearer. And then another thing with this that I have been working on is just that real-time interaction, just being able to drag a video directly into that window and it plays immediately. So you can set things up on cards and sort of make a plan, but I just wanted that real-time thing to be really, really smooth as well. So now, like, it's work in progress, but you can just drag a video directly into the video feed. It will show up straight away. When you press clear, it will go away. Same with images. And then I want to sort of like do that with titles as well, because I had a really interesting session the other day where I was, working with a new developer that's hopefully helping me out with Beatsheet and things like that. But I was sort of giving him commands, and I was sort of going, okay, you need to press cd dot forward slash till, like all that stuff. And I realized I could just go, go cd and Beatsheet. Right, I could just put that as a title, and then it could show up sort of at the bottom of the screen. Having some picture-in-picture weirdness. Where is my slide? As I say, it is still, I keep changing it. So I was able to just set this up and then go, okay, type cd now, so git checkout the, new branch. And I was just able to stick those things down at the bottom of the screen so that he could see like the text of what it needed to be, without me having to awkwardly share a window but stuff that was hard to say. And you couldn't really do it with live titles. Git check, well, let's try it. Git checkout -b new branch, like it's gonna interpret it in weird ways, but you need it to be really precise in this case. So I want to make it, but I haven't quite, because I don't want to just stick a text box. I want it to feel natural when you're editing, but that means I probably need to like dynamically render the cursor. I'm not going to get anything for free with that. I've got to basically, all this text rendering, I have to like lay it out myself because it's using a certain engine that doesn't have all the text features of other engines. So anyway, that's so that live real-time stuff is something I'm thinking about. I'm working on, just trying to make that like that direct connection with your video window really smooth feeling. Something else I was working on is OSC editing. So I had my music day yesterday, and I decided to chuck a ton. So you may have heard this. It's pretty indistinct, but it's going to sound good as I refine it. It's a composition tool, really, and at the moment I'm just so I'm chucking loads of loops into this system. So it's this sort of 3D virtual world that you can walk around and trigger different sounds and click on things and they make a sound. And I thought, like, I'd been making, for each loop I'd been making a bespoke 3D model or whatever. And then I thought, actually, I just want to abstract 3D model and put, like, I've got 1,000 of these things. Let's just put a ton in. So I was looking through Sketchfab. I found this 3D model, like abstract forms. It had like 80, 100 of these things in a nice sort of like around your head kind of configuration. I was like, okay, well, let's write some code to sort of assign each one of those to a music loop and sort of make it all synchronized. And I can just sort of start and stop those loops by name. But what I want, and then I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool if in Beatsheet Studio I could use OSC to control that and just sort of toggle the loops on and off, so that then I could sort of start composing sort of backing tracks in a way, or sort of the basics of live performances. So I could sort of have my foot pedal, so I could like be doing my bit, and the music would be that I could be playing one thing, and it would have a few loops from the thing. I press the foot pedal, beat sheet goes to the next thing. It's sort of like, the chorus go back to the verse with beat sheet. Through this engine, and it is sort of like ties back to some of the original thinking around beat sheet. But I thought, let's do this through OSC. So I ended up working on that, making that work yesterday. But it also meant that I refined how OSC editing works. So I will just explain like some of the refinements on that after I have checked what this text is. I say a hello from Lorenzo. Hello. Right. So OSC editing used to look like this. So you selected so you've sort of got, with OSC, you've got your command, you've got like values, and then you've got the host and the port number. So I just sort of like did the bare minimum, chuck that thing up there. It works, sort of, it's fine. But now it looks more like this. So you've got a bit more space for the command. You can have multiple arguments. So this is like me triggering like 7 loops, and they, by name. So I'm calling this command, I'm sending these 7 things in, and I'm sending it to the forest OSC. So I just define the app once. And so that's so if you click on forest, it's going to give you a drop down with your different OSC targets. And like if you add a new one, it's going to remember the last one, so you don't have to keep selecting it every time. Like I've been making improvements like that. And then, there's a new preferences thing where you can just say, okay, forest is localhost port 14,000, Mimo Live is port 8,000. You can sort of forget about those things and just kind of focus on the actual, the stuff you want to see. So that's and those refinements will make their way into BeatSheet and BeatSheet Studio. But yeah, just I don't know how many people are using OSC generally, but it's like I didn't want to do it in MIDI because MIDI is just so sort of like like 127. It's like it's a byte, and you're just messing about like all the time. But this gives you a bit more flexibility to throw like strings and things like text into it and stuff like that. Let's come full screen. John has his hand raised. Can I bring you in? Sure, go for it.
Yeah, so that I may get feedback or getting an echo.
Oh,
Sorry
sorry.
about that. Let me see what I've got happening here.
That's probably my fault, but plow on.
Let's try now.
Yeah.
Echo, echo, echo.
We can't hear the echo. So if you're
Oh, okay, then that's a problem. I could deal with it. So the new Osbot Tiny 2 camera has an OSC.
Okay, great.
I could drop those same commands in there.
Absolutely, yeah. Like if it's got a network address, you can just send commands from BeatSheet directly to that address, and like if you know what the addresses are that you have to send the commands are, then you can control anything really. So yeah, if something supports it, it will work with BeatSheet Studio.
And this is in the current build.
It is in the current build, but the editing is a bit more refined in the next build.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to give it a try.
Okay, go for it. All right. Where are we? Sorry, I'm like scrolling because I've lost my place in my script. Like I need to take me to where I was, but or if I just press next card. I haven't got my usual HUD today. I need to put that in the shoot preview window. Right, video playback. Audio now plays all the way through in videos of BeatSheet. This is BeatSheet Studio bug fixes basically. Audio plays. The mute button works in the window. It wasn't working, and I just put a few more playback rates because I realized it's quite fun to be able to play something like 32 times speed. Like you get a little time lapse out of your video, which last week when I was doing the sort of like here's what's in my bag video, I just wanted it to play really fast all the way through to the end. So I just added in a couple of more playback rates. But big news for BeatSheet and BeatSheet Studio. We have fonts. So now in BeatSheet, well, next build, you can now pick any font for your slides. So if I just go slides, font, I can have, shall we do chalk duster just to prove that it's a different font, right? We can have it in chalk duster. You can change the font sizes, so we can go bigger and smaller. So sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't recommend like going too small with this, but let me just go back to I just want my font to be Helvetica Neue Bold, as that is a good font. I kind of do this more to like make sure your alignment generally isn't too bad. Is it? Am I sort of? Do I need to rotate my camera a bit to give it less off the screen? Oh yeah, no, it's the other way. So this alignment as well, like you'll see this. So before this would be like back here, so it would sort of like bleed. So now this left edge on bullet points lines up, which it didn't before. So that it's just like I'm just trying to sort of. So I've tidied that up, and I've sort of given you the option if you don't if it's kind of wrapping a few too many times on a lot of slides, you can just sort of change the general font size and sort of like adjust that a little bit. And there's a keyboard shortcut, or you can do it through the menu. So that's coming in. I know John During had a question about why the second one seemed in, but what you were having, like when there's an image, it will still center align them under the image. So if you've got an image here, then it's going to just sort of like put them like that. So you will see the sort of ragged bullet points, which I need to make a decision on whether to either maybe just not show the bullet points at all when it's doing that, or to just like line them up to the left edge of the image. It's just like different images look better. Like I'm trying to come up with something that will generally work without you having to configure anything. So I just sort of try and think about these decisions properly. So next up, let me just check I don't see any questions. Next up is I have had there's right Shoot Studio, right? So Shoot Studio lets you control your iPhone, control Shoot on your iPhone from any web browser, right? But some people go through the process of upgrading Shoot, like doing the in-app purchase or doing the subscription, and then they find that they can't connect. And I just wanted to take you through why that happens, because it does seem to cause a little bit of frustration here and there. So I'll take you through that as simply as I can, and like, well, if there's any questions, like, please let me know afterwards. So there are two different ways that you can unlock Shoot Studio and be able to remote control Shoot. The first is lifetime updates. So that's the sort of $99 purchase in Shoot. You buy that one-off purchase, and now there's no subscriptions ever. But that's an in-app purchase that's charged by Apple, right? So that's something you do. It's an expensive offer. It gives you everything forever, no subscriptions, right? Charged by Apple. The second option is through the website. So this is like $20 a year, and it's charged through Stripe, which is like a third-party payments platform, not to do with Apple. And it's sort of something that used to be sort of not allowed in the App Store, but like Apple were forced to sort of be a bit more permissive about that stuff. But it will mean that you've gone to the website and sort of gone through a form on the website. And so that's paid on Squares TV. When you sign in with Apple, which you have to do on your phone in Shoot at the moment, there is this hide my email option, which it can be easy, like use it. Like if you want to hide your email, that's fine. Like I don't need to know everyone's email address. I'm happy with Apple's, that Apple have got a system for doing that. But on the web, you can also sign in with Apple. I mean, I don't want to jump ahead, but like you can also sign in with like a magic email link. If you just tell it your email address, it will give you a link to sign in. You can also sign in with Google, Facebook, or Twitch. Like there's reasons that I provide so many different ways of signing in on the website, but there's just sign in with Apple in the app. And I may change that, but it's just a bit awkward to add more. And the nice thing about signing in with Apple is I get this sort of properly authenticated thing. I know who you are in a better way than if it was just like email password. You could be anyone, actually. The problem is the emails have to match, right? Like the website is controlling the phone. So so the way I do that is your email address has to match. So what's the solution? Match the emails. Okay, so but which email should you be using, right? The one you should be using is the one you paid on. So that is, if you paid through the website, that's the one that you signed into the website with. If you paid, right, on the app, it needs to be your Apple ID. And that email needs to be your private, like if you hide your email, that needs to be you need to have signed in with Apple so that it's got the same email. So when you sign in with Apple on the website, it will also do the hide my email thing, like assuming you're logged into the same computer. So that's the really important thing. So what happens is, you sign in with hide my email on the phone, but then you sign in with your real email on the website, and then you're like, why isn't this seeing my phone? It's because it's two completely different email addresses. So how do you fix this? If you want to keep, and then I think I want to give people options on this. So I think it sort of makes the instructions feel a bit more complicated than they might if I just said, no, you have to do this one thing. If you want to keep your email hidden because you pay, well, if you paid in the app, right, you have to keep your, you have to do the same thing that you did to log into the app. But if you paid into the app, sign into Squares TV with your Apple ID, and it should just work. Like, it should pick up that you used hide my email. It should just give Squares TV the same email address. It should all work. So if you paid for a lifetime updates unlock in the app, you need to sign into Squares TV with that same Apple ID. And it, if you do that, if you sign out of Squares TV, sign back in with your Apple ID, it really should just work. And like, please let me know if it doesn't, if you do that. But if you hid it on your phone and not on the web, then this is where we get the real problem. So what you can do is you can either unhide your email in the app, right? Or you can actually, like, in an emergency, you can email me with the email address, and I'll cover that now. So to unhide your email from Shoot, because you paid on Squares TV, and now that purchase is attached to that email address, which does not match your hidden, like, private relay Apple address, you need to unhide the email. So you go into Settings app on your phone, you tap your name, you go to Password and Security, and I forget this every time. You go to Sign in with Apple, you find Shoot, there's a list of apps, click on Shoot, and then there's a big red button under that, which is Stop Using Apple ID. And then go back to Shoot, and then connect to Squares TV again, connect to remote control, and this time don't select hide my email, and then reconnect, and that should basically, you should suddenly see your phone appear up in your Squares TV in Shoot Studio. And if you had a purchase there, well, yeah, so this is because you bought it on the website, but if you, yeah, that should work. And aside to this is that I was just thinking about, there is, Shoot will share your purchases with Squares TV so that it can put up the right box and say, oh, you've got a lifetime unlock. So I'm going to show you it. So some stuff. But if you sign in on the website then, and you needed to unhide your email, that, you've paid here on the website anyway, so that's kind of moot. The other thing you can do is email me and I'll transfer your Stripe purchase onto the, if you don't want to unhide the email, I can transfer your purchase onto the right account. So to do that, just like give me the Stripe receipt that has and then also give me I'm going to need your private relay email address. Like, so you need to find out what that is. There's a screen in Shoot that's supposed to give it to you, but it never seems to work. So I think if you, I don't know how, I think you can find it through settings, but I need that private relay email address. But we can go back and forth, and I may need to fix something that sort of displays it to you. And I've written otherwise your Apple ID. Yeah, so if your email address is hidden, give me the private relay email address. If your email isn't hidden, then give me your Apple ID, and I can just switch the purchase over. So that is the very simple way of reconciling that problem. I've been working on, like, how can I sort of associate one account with the other account, just to make sure that so you can have to, but I just think it's awkward and it's weird, and I just like, I probably should just say, please sign in with your Apple ID on the website, or there's going to be confusion. John has a question. Please jump in.
So, how does it affect it if you are trying to use two Shoot cameras? If I have two iPhones going at the same time, can I run it, or do I need this separate license for each one?
You do not need separate licenses. It's all your Apple ID. So as long as they're both logged into the same Apple ID, then you can do it. I think it also works if you had like different Apple IDs, but they're on family sharing. Although don't hold me to that because I haven't been able to test it properly. But someone did ask. I checked the box. Certainly with, I think if you got the lifetime updates and you use family sharing, that should work. I'm not, that's a bit of an edge case, I'm not quite sure. But basically, as long as they're both signed in with the same Apple ID, they will connect to the same place on Squares TV and you'll see a list of your
I could test the
devices.
family sharing for
Yeah.
you, but how does it identify which camera is it controlling? Does it say camera one, camera two?
Yeah. It will just list all the
Okay.
cameras you've got out. And then there's a bit of an advanced feature as well, which I'm sort of reluctant to complicate this conversation, but like you can also like share a camera to anyone as well if you want to. If you have an account, you can actually get a link that you can give to anyone, and they can control that phone, and they'll see the user interface in Squares TV. But that's maybe for another day. But yeah, like it was always designed to support however many phones needed to connect. Okay, let's moving on. Here is a desktop sharing trick from John During. Sorry, so much talk of John Ittleson today that I forgot that the right. So desktop sharing trick. I have this issue where, I was talking about where I was on one. I'm just on my laptop screen. I didn't have an external display. It can get a bit awkward screen sharing, as you see. Like I'll share my whole screen. It's easy to share something you didn't want to share, but you can get this thing, and so it looks like this. So it's called like a dummy HDMI. You can just plug that into your laptop, and then on your Mac. So here I'm going to show you. Like I've got, like I'm selecting. It's basically it's shown up as a it shows up as a display in BeatSheet Studio or wherever, and you can just share that display, and then it's going to be this display. Now the reason that's dimmed out is because I was using QuickTime to record this footage, and that grays out the other monitor from the area that you're recording, which is always a bit of a pain. I should probably use something else. But what I'm going to do now is take this window, like the BeatSheet Studio landing window, and just drag that over. So you can just sort of drag that effectively into your screen share. And so now that's just sort of it's on an external display, but it's actually you can basically now interact with your you can sort of use the preview as your desktop and sort of control it through the preview. There will be a little bit of lag with that. It's maybe not an everyday thing, but I thought that was really cool. And also, this thing is like what I searched for. It's off the top. I searched for like dummy HDMI, and they're like $3. Let me make this. That's really annoying. That we're finding new things every day. If I just, how can I share this in a way that you're going to be able to see it? Because it's anyway, they're $3. The point is, they're literally $3, £3, and you just sort of stick it into the laptop, and it makes it think that it's got another display, and then you can just drag Windows into your BeatSheet Studio or whatever, or Ecamm or whatever you're using. If you've only got one screen and you don't have another screen there, you can just do that. So that's a clever trick. So thanks to John for that.
Monitor that wasn't a high resolution, but you could set that under the monitor setting to whatever resolution it could handle.
Right, so you can just you can say it's a 4K display, can't you? And it'll just sort of be whatever resolution you need. I don't know how you found the. I was sort of looking at it today, but I was like, I think I'm going to be confused. It sort of makes me think I need. I'm just going to cut John out again. It makes me think I need a. It's a good case for a sort of full screen mode for BeatSheet Studio on top of everything else. So I'm thinking like, when you're doing that, you might want to just sort of like full screen BeatSheet Studio, and then have like the stuff as sort of overlays. over the top, and like the sort of nav bar, there's an overlay over the top, so that you can have like the maximum real estate to drag things around on. But there's just more and more ideas always coming out of these things. Okay, that's my program for today. That's my stuff. So has anyone got any? It's nice to see a few faces today as well. I see David Paskin's here. I see you've made it. Nice to see you. If anyone's got any thoughts, questions, things you want to talk about, now is the time. Either on YouTube or on the Zoom call. I'll sort of like bring in your audio if you want to ask anything else. And if not, I can sit down again. This was another side note. I actually got an email today from someone that said they'd had trouble with this hide my email thing, and I should probably edit this into that other part. It turned out like the Apple side was broken, so emails to that private relay account weren't getting back to him. And so I ended up getting this weird like dispute thing, and like having to just go, okay, I can't actually email the person to figure out what's going on. And he couldn't get any emails to that account. He worked with Apple to try and figure out what was going on. They couldn't work out what was going on. So apparently hide my email isn't perfect, and that has caused some issues as well. So it's just something to, I don't know, I don't want to like skate, I think privacy is important. I don't want to sort of scaremonger about hide my email, but like someone did have trouble with it. So if something's weirder, there is a small chance that it could be an Apple bug. So that's fun, isn't it? I see a chat message. Some sort of analog to windowed projector in OBS. Is this a question or a description? Can you elaborate on that, Dov? I will add it to the broadcast. And is that, are we talking about the HDMI thing? I'll give him a sec. If that's it, I am going to enjoy Edinburgh. I'm here for a few more days. Well, 2 more weekends, in fact. Found some co-working space, but it's a bit too sort of, a bit too small to do this thing on, I think. The sort of meeting rooms there, unless I book one. John, I will bring you in.
A question about the Mac split screen. When you do that, can I have the beat sheets in one screen and then another window in another? How does that affect?
Like the window
screen?
management feature, where you can
the window management system.
It should all work. Yeah, that's just same as anywhere else. The only thing is
So then with the window management, I could put that as into that emulator, and then put that into the pencil. So then I'd have one side screen having something. So I'd be actually dual screen, being able to draw on both of them.
You've lost me. So what we're saying? Okay, so I've got my main
split
desktop
screen in Mac.
I've got like on my second screen, I'm using that as, so this is my fake
That's
screen.
it. And now I put that in the pencil.
And then, if you share this desktop, that's going to come, and then that's going to go to Video Pencil, So whatever you're sharing, and if that happens to be a fake desktop, that's still, you're sharing that, so that goes into Video Pencil, that goes everywhere. So you could do that. If that's
so, I'm working on where to focus my attention with the multiple screens that I have while I'm trying to go through things. So that could be fun.
The only thing I'd find difficult is if there is a bit of lag on the mouse pointer on the sort of other display. And I found this trying to use a Apple TV as a monitor. It's a little bit, you kind of want 60 frames a second, no lag when you're using a mouse pointer. But you can do it, but it's just going to feel a bit more awkward. The best way to do it is obviously still have an external display and use that as a dedicated screen share. That's what I generally recommend. I actually brought my Wacom One up to use as an external monitor, but like my partner's hijacked it and is using it, so I haven't been able to use it myself. Right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. I hope yeah, what do I say at the end? Oh yeah, I did a thing, squares.tv/discord. If you're interested in, chatting between these things, if you've got any questions, if you want to raise issues, um, Discord, feature requests, all that stuff, you can just go squares.tv/discord and it'll forward you to the right place now. I just did that this afternoon. I don't know why I didn't do it like a month ago, but 5 months ago. Yeah, so if you are interested in joining that, that's got quite a few people. And I think one of the advantages of being on the Discord, if you do use my stuff, is I'm sometimes asleep and people in America are awake, and do you want to wait for me to wake up, or maybe someone can help you that's in your time zone. So that's one of the main benefits, and we have like channels with suggestions, and they're all on threads, and so we're sort of tracking all the progress of things through there. So it's a way to sort of like keep track, see if anyone else has asked for something, and sort of join in the conversation. Right, so Dov says, sorry, of course, I was responding to your dummy HDR display. It seems to create a similar solution if you've only got one monitor, and that was the windowed projector in OBS. I've never actually tried that. Sounds like maybe I should give that a quick look. Right, so that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next week, and if not before then, wherever we're going to be, I'm going to jump off and say goodbye. Thank you very much.